Hi, everybody. We are in the midst of Lent now. We've experienced Ash Wednesday. We've already had one Sunday in Lent where we met Jesus in the desert. And now, over the course of the next 4 weeks, we get to engage, which for me are my favorite weeks in all of the lectionary. We take on these really big, massive stories from John's Gospel. What I love about them are not their length. They are long. We'll probably sit when we listen to them rather than stand. But what I do like about them is they have some really big concepts. They get you thinking. And what I love most of all is they ask some really great questions. I love questions. I think they're so important for us to learn and grow, not just in life, but also in our lives of faith. So what questions do you have? Now's a good time to start asking. What are some of these questions that we'll hear over the course of the next few weeks? So Jesus meets with Nicodemus at night, probably because Nicodemus is too afraid to meet in the daytime. What will his friends think? Jesus tells him he needs to be born again. Jesus recites this famous Bible verse that you may have heard or have had to memorize. For God so loved the world that he gave his only son. Remember that one? And Nicodemus just asks a really great question. Well, how can these things be? Isn't that a great question? Don't you want to ask it yourself? I do. Jesus meets a woman at the well who's a Samaritan, and there are all kinds of cultural faux pas that go into that encounter, which is interesting in and of itself. But the question that kind of lurks in the background, which I think is just awesome, is why is he meeting with her? Of all the people that Jesus could be with, why this woman? Interesting to think about. Jesus helps a blind man and gives him sight. And the first question people ask is not, well, what hardships has this person had to endure? Or how might we help? What they do ask is, well, who sinned? This man or his parents? It's all about the blame game. And boy, we fall into that so often when we see people hurting around us. Someone has to be at fault, rather than thinking about how we might bring sight to the situation. And the last week in Lent is a funeral. It's the funeral for Jesus' friend Lazarus. It's an interesting situation because Jesus takes his sweet old time getting there. And then Lazarus' sisters, Mary and Martha, they don't actually ask it in the form of a question. They make it a statement that's really passive-aggressive. They say, well, Jesus, if you'd been here, this wouldn't have happened. But what they're really asking is, where were you? Where were you? Sometimes in our lives, when we see pain and suffering or encounter it ourselves, we ask that same question of God. Where were you in the midst of this? So we are in the midst of Lent, a time to meet with Jesus in the wilderness, a time to think about our faith, and a time to really ask some good questions. I look forward to the next time we meet together to strengthen each other along the way. In the meantime, what are your questions? And how might we ask them better?